I actually think that the strongest people are the ones that are willing to ask for help, the ones that are willing to say, I don't have all of the answers.
Confidence breeds confidence. So whenever you're selling a policy, it leads to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. So.
On today's episode, we have the back-to-back 30 Life in 5 Days champ, Anthony Hunt. This is a previous recorded episode, but I want to just share, he won last September and January, and that is why we are sharing this episode again. September, his office wrote 24 life apps and over $30,000 in premium. In January, just 4 months later, his office wrote 43 life apps and over $30,000 in premium. He's going to be sharing exactly how his team rallied, the mindset shifts they had to make, the processes and systems they put in place to write this amount of production, what he gained from the 30 Life in 5 Days challenge. And here's the thing, this is your last reminder to get started in the 30 Life in 5 Days challenge. This is the last time we are doing this year in 2025 in September. Make sure you get signed up. The last thing I want to hear is you reaching out to me in November or December for last minute tips or help, because by that time it is too late. Take action now. That is what the most successful people do. They take action on things that they know are going to benefit them. This is our last challenge of the year. This is the 9th time we've done this. You can do this. Thousands of peers have done this before. Let's make it happen. Other than that, let's get to the episode where Anthony shares exactly how his team crushed it in both challenges. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your hosts, Michael and Courtney Weaver, and today we have a very special guest with us, elite agency owner, Anthony Hunt. Anthony, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. How are you?
We are so freaking pumped to have you on today. We're excited with where this conversation is going to go. We're going to
talk about life insurance.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about multiple agencies.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about how great the Kansas City Chiefs are in comparison to the New England Patriots. We're going to...
That's how we're starting this episode. That's how we're starting the episode with low blows. Let's go. I can dig this already. All right. So, Anthony, I want to lead right in with, so you participated in our 30 Life in 5 Days challenge back in September. Your office wrote 24 life apps and $40,000 in premium in 5 days. And so I just want to go into, hey, like, how did you get your team fired up, ready to rock and roll in the 30 and 5? And what do you think led to the success during that challenge? Because you had massive results.
Yeah. So one of the things that we had done was we had signed up for your sales academy, I don't know, probably a couple months prior to that. And then I saw on Facebook, you were doing this 30 and 5. So I was talking to my team because they were set up for some goals in order to kind of finish the year off. There was a promotion that we were running through the end of November and a couple of different things. So I asked them, I said, I know that we have the Weaver Sales Academy. Would you guys like to take advantage of this? I said, because for the investment, it's not much, but what we can get out of it would be tremendous. I said, could you imagine selling 30 life policies in 5 days? They said, oh my gosh, that'd be freaking sick. So I was like, all right. So I signed up for it. We did all that. The lead up to it though, the prep work, a couple of days prior, I think it was 3 days, right? There was 3 days of prep.
4 days of prep, 5 days of action.
The 4 days of prep, but it was just getting your list ready, getting things ready, getting things all set up. And I was listening to a podcast recently that actually helped with this. And it was, whenever you think of the sun, right? The sun is the hottest thing known to man. Mm-hmm. Plus, it has the most energy. But what it does is if you're trying to put all of that energy or focus over the earth, it just warms it up. But what happens if you get out a microscope? Mm-hmm. Just like focus, if you take all of that energy and focus on one specific thing, you burn a hole through it. So you just blaze through it. So like, let's go, right? So that's kind of what we did. So it's just like, hey, listen, today's about term bumps. Today's about final expenses. Today's about, increases. Today's about homeowners. Today's about, you name it, we've done it. And we've taken it even further than that. You have a loan on your car. What do you have to protect that? What do you have to protect this? So we've taken it in multiple different ways, and it's paid touch dividends for the office.
So I'll never forget, you may not remember sending me this message, but you're like, yo, bro, what is this 30 and 5 thing all about? And I text you the answer and you're like, okay, is it worth it for real? I'm like, it's worth it. I guarantee it. All right. Like if you do it, you'll see results. And then you end up winning the dang challenge. Not only with the life apps, but $40,000 in premium in a single week.
I sure did win.
Insane.
You have to be watching this. If
Money
you're
gun,
not watching
baby.
this, Anthony has the money gun out, and it is now branded. It has your logo on it, and you are okay. Yeah,
Look at that.
let's freaking go,
That's
baby.
bad to the bone.
Okay,
When
so
I
you
s-
did.
when I opened that box and I saw the money gun, I just literally started laughing out loud. And the fact that it was red, I was like, that's sick. That's real sick.
You're welcome. So I know that we did 24 apps in that time frame in the 5 days. What came after that? Was there more production that rolled on?
Absolutely, because you always get the people that, don't pull the trigger right away, or we left voicemails, or all of those. So it's the callbacks. The phones were super busy for the next probably 3 weeks. Like you had mentioned, even in the prep calls, like this is what's going to end up happening for you. So, I mean, even after that, we're about to hit, we're a couple policies short. We're waiting for a couple of things to go through underwriting, a couple of people to sign some applications. And I know that I said this on the last live call that you guys did, but we're about to travel in the MOA as well. So it all has led to, just increased numbers throughout, but not to mention confidence breeds confidence. So whenever you're selling a policy, it leads to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. So
Was this your first year with the second office?
yeah, we opened January 1st.
And you're going to travel in it?
Yeah. And we already have,
Bruh.
I think we have 20,000 in carryover for next year already.
Bruh.
I love this.
All right, just so the audience that's not from your world, what does it even take to travel? Is it 40,000 in premium and 70 issued life apps? Is that right?
It's 70 issued life apps, and I'll be honest with you, the premium I'm not sure about. I know that we hit level 3 in the legacy office, and we're going to hit whenever we get it, we'll end up being level 2.
Oh my gosh.
I know that's 50,000+ in premium. I think it's closer to 60 now for level 2. Heck yeah, bro! Congrats, that's amazing.
So going into the challenge, where were you at on your life target? I mean, what made you even want to sign up in the first place?
Team buy-in. So I had asked them. So, and this is going to spill over into the MOA talk as well. But whenever I was in my first office, I kind of was the same from the adage of, I know how to do this, so I'm just going to do it. I don't need any outside help. I don't need to worry about, any of those things. So whenever I opened the MOA office, I was just like, all right, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be. Because it's everything that I had done back in 2017. And I was like, man, I forgot I had to do that. Or, man, I can't remember it being this hard or whatever. So I reached out to another agent and I said, listen, who do you use? And they recommended Michael. And he did a text invitation or a text greet, which I'll be honest with you, that is the best way to hold accountable, right? Because if I don't follow through with it, or if I'm recommending Michael and Michael doesn't text or whatever, it's just like, well, that's not going to happen again. So a part of being referred is being referable, right? So as soon as that message went through, I bet you it wasn't even 2 minutes. I don't know what you do during your day, but I don't know if that phone just like strapped to you, but it wasn't even 2 minutes had passed. Like, hey bro, like, here's my number. Like, let's set up a call. Let's talk. Let's do whatever. And, between your 10 days for set up your elevator pit, like literally everything about your whole academy, it's helped get my team members up and running much faster. And it's been such a tremendous help. But like I said, it's one of those, I never wanted to sign up for something because to me, it showed a sign of weakness. And whenever I started signing up for stuff, people on my team started saying like, oh, what a great strength it was, because I refuse to stop learning. And it's paid dividends in all areas of my life, and it's helped tremendously being able to do that. So
I love that you share that too, because it really is, when you're talking about asking for help, it is a vulnerable thing because you have to admit that you don't have all of the answers. But I actually think that the strongest people are the ones that are willing to ask for help, the ones that are willing to say, I don't have all of the answers. To me, that's such a sign of strength, because if not, you're trying to go at this alone, and that's a pretty heavy load to carry by yourself, of managing 2 offices, managing 2 teams, managing 2 different emotions and goals, and that whole thing. So I love that, and thank you for sharing that. But I love that you're sharing that, because I know that you're not alone in saying, oh, I can do this. I can figure this out on my own. Like, I've already done this once. I can do this again. And everything is different.
And this reminds me of another quote I just heard recently, and it said that a focused fool is more productive than a distracted genius. And it's the truth. So if you get distracted, it's just like, I get pulled here, there's something going on with this payment, this customer's not happy about whatever. It takes your time away from all those other things. So if you're distracted, you can have all the answers, but you just don't know how to put it all through. So that was a quote that I heard recently. I was like, man, that's so good though. Like, if you're a focused fool, you can literally get so much more accomplished than if you're a genius. You hold all the answers, but you literally get distracted by everything. Like, oh, squirrel. So you're just like off on this tangent. So it's just getting that dedicated focus with everything that we do. And I think that's what's made us so successful from the time we started through today.
So I want to talk about the two offices because we're leading into that. And I love that you bring up a focused fool is better than a distracted genius. So where is your focus right now? So we have two offices. They're both traveling. They're both having success. Tell me a little bit about when you were turning into 2025, because the thing that I have noticed is I have seen all of the carriers' comp plans and promotions, and across the board, every carrier that I have seen, Allstate Farmers, State Farm, they have all increased life production. So now it's always been a life production focus, but now you can see it's tied into comp. We're increasing numbers. So when you turn that corner into 2025, where is your focus when it comes to production, team? What does that look like for you?
It's going to sound super cliche, but my focus since the day that I started has always been on what I can do to help somebody else. It was interesting. Like, even during internship, people were talking about like, hey, we're going to do this, or I'm going to buy this once I do this. And I was like, they're like, do you know how much money we can make? I was like, do you know how many people we're about to help? And like, that's always been my focus. And people always tell me that. My wife said this to me as well. She goes, sometimes I feel like you care more than they do, the customer or whoever you're about to help. And I was like, I'm okay with that. Honestly, it just frustrates me a little bit whenever it's just like, I know that this is better for you and they still don't want it, or they still just beat around the bush or ghost you or do any of those things. So, my singular focus has always been on the customer, but going into 2025, it's making sure my team is set, making sure like my office manager has everything that she needs, making sure that if she can delegate things down, that we're doing those things, making sure that even my service team, we signed up for another program because I want somebody that can literally just do all that service work, being able to pivot, being able to do this, being able to do that, making sure that we have everything set up, whether it's our X dates, whether it's our data mining, all of those things, everything is set up for next year. And, setting up the appointments and doing all of those things so that we start next year with a tremendous bang.
Okay. So with the two offices, as you said that partly why you started looking and asked your friend who they use when they use Weaver Sales Academy. But I would be curious, when you started January 1 of last year, you kind of hinted at earlier, things were a little bit harder than you thought they were. It was a little bit more of a struggle. And so I would love to know what you've learned over the last 12 months of opening two locations. And if there was something specific you struggled at and had to work through, what would you say that was? If somebody else is getting ready to open a second agency, hey, this is where I struggled. This is something if you just do this from the very beginning, you won't see the same struggle. What would you say?
So the first thing is, for anybody that doesn't know where I'm at, my legacy office, my first office is like in the heart of Pittsburgh. So it's about 10 minutes from the stadiums. My second office is in the suburbs. So it's about 45 minutes away from the stadiums or whatever. So it's 30 minutes from my house, 30 minutes from so it's just a big triangle. So whenever I first opened up, I had all the best laid plans. I hired a bunch of people last year, got them all trained up, ready to go. And they started falling off. Like, this person quit, this person, didn't work out. This person just never showed back up. So I had, going into this year, I was like, oh man, we're going to be all set. Like, I got eight more people come in and, both offices will be fully staffed. So I opened January 1st in my second office with my office manager only. And it was just like, all right. So, and then you get a couple other people and then they didn't work out. So then it's just like back to my office manager. So, if I would have, and I'll be honest with you, if I would have reached out in January, I could have all the knowledge. If I don't have a way to get it out, it's literally just useless. So I was at a point whenever I reached out to our mutual friend to find out who they used. I was at a point where I was able to spend the time and effort to be able to, you know, be able to do those role plays, be able to hold those one-on-ones, be able to hold those team meetings, to hold them accountable to whatever it is that we're asking for them to do. And because if you don't do that, you're literally going to get whatever's left. An agent friend of mine that's in my territory always says the checker gets what the checker checks. You don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect. So if you're not holding people accountable, and whenever I first opened, I'll be honest with you, I always thought holding somebody accountable was a form of micromanaging. And I promised myself I'd never micromanage. And I just got whatever happened. So whenever I started holding people accountable, that's whenever you started to see those huge results of, this is what's expected of you, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it.
So are you the one that's actually holding somebody accountable when you're talking about the one-on-ones and you're talking about the role plays? That's you?
My office manager and I, yes.
Okay.
So I deliberate with her, and oftentimes we'll do the one-on-ones together, because I don't like to do anything just one-on-one with, with anybody else, just to make sure that, if I'd missed something or, something comes back that this was said or that was said or whatever, I just want to make sure that we both have, another set of ears or another set of eyes of what actually occurred. So.
Okay. So it sounds like you delegated your training so it could be more consistent across both locations, and you guys implemented an accountability system to hold your team accountable to actually doing the training and then testing them out along the way to make sure that they were retaining the information. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. So in hiring also sounds like that's something that you may have had maybe a struggle with in the very beginning, or not really? Was it because of the training?
I think a lot of it had to do with training.
Okay.
And again, I claim to know a lot of people claim that I know a lot of things. I borrow a bunch of information from people. So there's
We
another.
all
do.
We all do.
But oftentimes a lot of people try and claim it as their own. I don't claim any of this because I went and met with somebody whenever I was getting ready to open this location. He was like the first MOA agent in Pittsburgh. And I went out and I was talking with him, and he goes, the one thing you have to be certain of or be careful of is whenever you hire somebody, like expectation and reality are right here, right? As time goes on, trainings go on or whatever, their expectations here, but their knowledge base or whatever's here. This distance in between is called frustration. And I thought that was so good. So I do think some of it was due to training issues, due to expectations, due to, hey, everybody's saying insurance is so lucrative or whatever, I can make a ton of money without doing much work. So sometimes people are just like, give me $100,000 for a base salary, give me this. And it's just like, I'll give you a big salary, but you got to sing for that supper. You got to get the rest of it. As a salesperson, if you're a service person, you show your worth. I will pay you what you're worth. But you can't just come out of the gate with no experience, making a ton of money. So you have to, you have to learn, you have to train, you have to put in the effort in order to get to where you want to go.
And I just don't know. I've never experienced anything before where you can make a lot of money, but you don't have to do very much. If you can show me that, I'll sign up today. All right.
I would. That makes three of us, then I guess.
Yeah, we're all in that.
So
I want to touch on something real quick because, Anthony, what you bring up is something that I hear a lot, and it's almost this sneaky sabotage, and it's you don't have the training plan, and so you don't hire the person. It's this thing that comes after you make the choice. We do this a lot in business where we're not going to make the choice that we need to make because we don't have the infrastructure that's set for when that person comes on, and that training, like it's a training plan, or maybe it's a tool, or maybe it's a hiring service, or whatever that looks like. So we will sabotage and go, okay, well, I don't have the thing that comes after that, so I can't hire this person. So I love that you bring that up because it's so relatable. There's so many aspects of business where it's like, if I push this domino, I have nothing else that's behind it, so I can't push this one just yet. Yeah. Did you have anyone help you with recruiting or that hiring process, or what did that look like to get the second office filled?
So you're saying like as far as like an outside company or whatever?
Yeah.
I mean, I've used like the career blog and stuff. So I've boosted on Indeed and all that. My office manager holds all of the interviews. So everything from them taking the assessment to the phone interviews or whatever. The only time that I start to kick in is whenever it's in person. And she's done such a great job. And recently she had done a phone interview that lasted 2.5 hours. And at the end of it, she goes, "That's a definite no." I said, "Listen, you have the full authority. You can cut that before then." I said, "Because that turns into a waste of your time." And I said, "When did you know?" And she said, "About 10 minutes in." I was like, "You should have cut it then." I
That's
said,
great
"It's okay."
coaching,
I said,
though.
"It's okay to do that." And she goes, "I didn't know." And I said, "I appreciate
Yeah.
the fact you saw it through because you didn't know what my response would be. But at the same time, like if you know that it's going sideways and that it's not what it was, if you try to redirect them and bring them back to baseline and they can't do it, they're not going to be a good fit." And again, it's nothing against the person, the fit. We have a culture here that you have to be a part of. I always tell my team this, and anytime I'm hiring somebody, listen, I don't care if we're all best friends, but you have to get along. It's too small of an office for everybody to hate each other. And, you can tell if somebody really does not like somebody in the office because, like, you literally get out that butter knife and you are just cutting that air up. So,
All right.
Yeah, that is great coaching on that.
Yeah, it's amazing when you can give your team, and this is throughout all of their job duties requirements, but sometimes just giving them permission. Like, for example, I was on a phone with an agent the other day, and he was like, "Well, our phones ring off the hook all day long, and the excuse I hear all day long is, well, I can't produce anything because I'm servicing all day." And I'm like, "Well, have you ever given them permission to just let it go to voicemail? Or have you ever given them permission to maybe answer the phone, take the task, but not do the task until the allocated time block to do the service work?" He was like, "Oh my God, that is genius." I'm like,
yeah.
all you have to do is just give permission. And that's exactly what you're doing. And I want to talk about your office manager a little bit, but I want to go back to just something real fast that you said earlier. You said you used to think of accountability as micromanagement. So I would be curious, what flip switched and what does accountability look like in your office so it's not micromanagement?
So the reason why I thought that is because if it was, you have to do X amount of quotes, X amount of whatever, like send me this at the end of the day, like with what your numbers are, and then you go back and check it or whatever. And sometimes I just think that, like, if I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, like, just leave me alone, right? So I thought that for the longest time, but I've constantly said this before. If the number of sales are there, I don't care how many quotes it took to get there. You're hitting your number. If the number of sales aren't there and the number of quotes aren't there, what are we looking at as far as leads or calls or any of those things? So I was never a big stickler on making 100 calls, making whatever, how many dials it is, but it always came down to the sales. If the sale, it just reverse engineering, right? So whenever I started looking at certain things, and it was recently, I reached out to a buddy of mine, and I said, "Listen, man," I said, we're struggling with PNC and all those things." He goes, "How many quotes, how many calls?" And I was like, "Oh, they're both down." He goes, "Well, that makes sense." And just, he didn't even say anything else. I was just like, man, why didn't I just see it from a different angle? It was just like, sometimes it just breaks it down. But I'll be honest with you, it is so valuable to have people in your life that could say something like that, or, "Listen, man, you're not doing this right," or, get out of your own way, or, sometimes they're a little bit more harsh than that, but it's always good to have realistic, accountable people in your life, because if you don't have that, and if you just have a bunch of yesers, it's not going to help you. Having real people in your life is super important, and it really has impacted my life in such a better way. And it's that age-old adage, right? Hang around 5 successful people, you'll be number 6. Hang around 5, rich people, you'll be the 6th, whatever. But if you hang around 5 losers and you wonder who the 6th is, just look in the mirror, because it's you. So again, you are a product of those things. But going back to that thing you had said about the agent you were talking to, and I've said this to my team as well, if you look at service tasks, just a service task, that's all it will ever be. And I told them, I said, instead of service tasks, you should look at them as opportunity tasks, because that's exactly what they are. You just flip your mindset, and what you think, what you say is what you become. It's just like, "Oh man, these rates are awful," or, underwriting's this, or service is that. That's all that you're going to focus on. That's what you're going to breed. But if it's just, "Listen, I know things happen. That's the way that it is. The only thing I can focus on is my effort and all those things." And I even tell my son that during soccer. I was like, "Listen, you might not be the best kid on the team, but if you don't give the best effort, that's when I'm going to be disappointed." And it's amazing. He gives max effort now, and he's gotten so much better. And now he's happy. He's, all those things. And I said this to my wife this weekend. I said, Isn't it amazing? Like every time we watch him play, we're like, man, that was the best game he's ever played because the effort's there. And then it creates more positivity and more athleticism and like literally everything. So I think that even in small increments, you could take a youth soccer, you could take it to a business world, you could take it to a Fortune 500, whatever it is. If you take that creative, positive mindset in the power of your tongue, there's nothing you can't accomplish.
How good would it feel to write 30 life policies in a month? How about 30 life policies in just 5 days? Our 30 life in 5 days challenge is right around the corner, where we work with hundreds of insurance agencies across the country every September as part of this group. And it teaches them, it gives them the exact framework of how to write 30 life policies in 5 days by targeting homeowners, renters, single line auto, 50 to 65-year-olds, and more. And it's not just about targeting current customers. It's about becoming confident in what you do every single day, knowing how to bring up life insurance in a way that customers are going to actually want to engage with you. What questions should you be asking to get them emotionally involved in the conversation that drive bigger premiums, bigger death benefits, and less and fewer objections? That's exactly what the 30 Life in 5 Days challenge is all about. We have live trainings every single day. You have an exact plan and format for success that gives you the talk tracks, who to call, when to call them, and more. And one additional feature that we added that we love is we are now role playing and training live every single day of the challenge, to where what you're learning, you can actually get live coaching on. Make sure you take advantage. Click the link below, and I hope to see you there. With that being said, let's get back to the show.
I'm curious, Michael, you asked the question about what's the difference between accountability and micromanaging, because you've been in this position.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, what was the switch for you?
The switch for me from holding people accountable to not holding people accountable?
No, what was the switch between feeling like it was you were micromanaging people and you were actually holding somebody accountable?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know what that switch was, besides a lot of it comes back to kind of what Anthony was hinting at, in my opinion, of there's a success formula. And if you're going to be in the office, I want you to be successful. You want to be successful. And there's just certain things that you have to do to be successful. And while I consider micromanaging, and I did this very early on in my career, where I would hover over them on almost every call, or we would have a conversation after every call. And what I realized is you don't need to hover, you don't need to micromanage. Like, at the end of the day, as long as you're having consistent communication on what we did on a weekly basis, that was the proper communication. Sure, I was coaching in the moment, but I didn't need to hover and basically hold accountable every single day. Like, hey, have you made enough calls today? Have you got your quotes in today? Which is ultimately what I was doing early on in my career. So I had to work through that as a leader, because the only way I learned was through burning people out and them telling me why they were leaving. And so that's why I'm so adamant. And you said this earlier, I used to hold people accountable to calls all day long. Whereas now it's quotes. I honestly don't care how many calls you do. I don't care the activities, just as long as the 3 conversations are there a day where you're talking to people about their insurance, you're having a conversation, you're presenting a solution, and you're asking for the sell 3 times every single time. And when we went to that route, and that's when in the one-on-ones, that's what I was talking to, coaching to, ultimately, they were winning, they were happier, and honestly, it allowed me to be more productive because I wasn't micromanaging them, so I could focus on my own productivity and my own career. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that answers your question, besides I learned through doing things the wrong way the first time.
Well, and that's actually the thing that, at least if I were to answer that question, it's that you have to give people permission to fail, because that's actually when they're going to learn. As long as it's not something that is a non-negotiable for you, which most of us have lie, cheat, steal. Don't lie, cheat, or steal as our like non-negotiables. Do the right thing. I think giving people permission, like that's how we all learn, is actually by touching the stove and going, stove's hot. Don't touch that again. Like, that is how we learn. So I love that we're having this conversation, because a lot of times when we're trying to modify or improve behavior, we do have a tendency to constrict and hover and go, okay, I want you to do it this way, instead of letting them go on an elevator pitch and say, what do you think about that? And getting click and going, okay, that didn't work. Let's try a different way. So yeah. I just like having this conversation, because I think so many times as a high achiever and a high performer, we want to control things. We want to control the outcome. We want to control how are things done. And accountability is really more of a coach and a guide versus a controller. So I just wanted to have that conversation.
I love that analogy. That's great.
So let's talk about 2025 again. Life insurance. Are you going to do 30 and 5 again, Anthony Hunt?
100%. I mean, if you
let's go.
If the other agents will have me.
I love that. Okay, so I want to hear. So you did September.
Time out. Or did you just basically come out and say, I'm going to go for a 2P? I'm going to go for a 2P. I'm going to try to win.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was the comment.
What I got two of these?
Let's go.
Oh my gosh, you just put it out there.
Yeah.
Anthony Hunt is calling the January 2025 35 winner already. Hell yeah. Okay, so why would you do it again? This is a question we get a lot. If you've done it once, why would you do it again?
Because I think that with just the way everything is, it's not going to be the same exact content. It's not going to be the same approach. I mean, obviously, it'd be the same thing as like, well, why would you sign up for the We Were Sales Academy next year? You already signed up for it once. Don't you have all the content? Everything evolves, just like all these training programs. If you remain the same, you will go away. So I think that the reason I would sign up again, first off, it's so inexpensive. Invest in your team. That's 100% where you're going to get it. Invest in your team with your time and your talents and your money, right? If you can teach them something with your time, give them all of your talents. And people say, well, what happens if I train them and they leave? What happens if you don't, they stay? Think about that for a second. And then what is it? $200, $300? How much is the 30 and 5?
For customers? Yeah. And then we'll have some early bird and then non-customer pricing.
So
but
200,
but at the end of the day, it's max $600.
Mm-hmm.
But think about it. Even if it's $600, you sell 30 and 5, and then over the next 3 weeks, you sell an additional 10 or 15. You're already Legion of Honor. If you're a State Farm, you're already Legion of Honor plus whatever else that you're looking at. But think about the meaningful conversations, the training that you're actually getting for your team, and then for them to think outside the box in different ways. It was just mind-blowing to me. And I will always sign up. I'll go on record with this, right hand up. I will always sign up for the 30 and 5 as long as my team is on board for it.
Yeah. I love that. And the instant ROI. So you're getting a confidence boost. You're getting obviously a production boost, but the instant ROI on that, you make so much money in a short amount of time. There's just very little things, specifically in the self-development world, the training world, that you can sign up for and see immediate impacts and actually make money on your money. And that's exactly what the 30 and 5 is all about. It's not only a training, it's not only a confidence boost, it's not only a production boost, but it's like you see real time in positive investment on your ROI. So I love that.
I would love to know, since you had so much success, how did you set up your days, and what was the conversation like with your team? Because a big thing is I need team buy-in, and you've talked about that, and you have great team buy-in, and they executed. So what was that conversation, and then what was your day-to-day structure like to implement?
So I combined the 30 and 5 with a promo I was doing in my office. I'd mentioned that before, but the other thing that we can do, we've done like bingos for certain days where it's just like the morale's down a little bit. Just like, hey, let's play bingo, or let's do this, and whoever has the most sales today gets a gift card or does this or whatever. But the way that we structure our day, like Mike would have said on the during the training, is you have to block for a certain time off on your day. So now what we're doing is we're blocking off certain times during our day to call on auto, to call on life, to call on fire. Because again, the more structured you are, the more focused you are, the more strategic and almost sniper-like you can be, right? In order to hit whatever it is that you're going for. Because, if you don't have a target, you'll hit it every time. So again, you have to make sure you have something there in order to be aiming for. So whenever I was asking my team or we were doing the buy-in, again, there was different promos and stuff that they were doing. I had no idea the stuff that you were going to send for winning it. I didn't even realize that there was a winner. It was just everybody's a winner because you sold a life policy, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, it was interesting because I believe of the 24, maybe 5 of them were for over $1 million base policy. And it's crazy. With the highest, I believe, being 3. So the first time I ever sold a $3 million life policy was during the 30 and 5.
Let's go, baby.
But it's funny because another one of my friends, same guy that I was telling you about the calls and quotes, said like, hey, how many $1 million life policies have you sold? So I took that and I said it to my team. They're like, none. Then guess what the follow-up question is? How many have you quoted? Don't be afraid to quote it. Like what you had said during the We Were Sales Academy, right? Quote your best and then you could strip it away if you need to, but quote your best and go with it. And that's what I started doing is I asked them what their needs were. I was like, listen, from what you're telling me is you need a $3 million life insurance policy in order to make sure everything's taken care of. The policy type isn't as important as the benefit amount. So I didn't care if it was a term. I didn't care if it was whatever it was. I didn't make sure the protection was in place, and we figure out the rest later.
It's funny you say that. I was at a conference this year, and I can't remember where I was at, but it was Van Miller, and he said there's more customers out there willing to buy $100,000 a year life insurance policies than there are advisors willing to propose $100,000 a year life insurance policies. And that's exactly to your point. Like, if you find a need, present it and just see what happens, because if you don't ask, the answer is always no, baby. Like, that's just period. So Anthony, this has been great, brother. This has been fantastic. I have a page.
Oh my gosh.
Pages full of notes. Like, I want
to get a money gun now and just like boom, back at you.
Well, I believe you sent this to me, so
I did. I need one for myself so I can get on these podcasts and be like, all right.
No, man, this was great. So Anthony, because you have an amazing social media game, by the way. So
good.
If somebody wanted to follow you for like ideas, connect with you, like what's the easiest way for them to do that?
So my email is Anthony@Hunt4Insurance, so FOR, or it could be Hunt the number 4insurance.com. TikTok might be just over.
Yep.
But yeah, on Facebook it's just Anthony Hunt. Currently there's a picture of me and my whole family dressed as the Hulk. So yeah, like to keep it fun, like to keep it real. Not everything's about insurance, right, Michael? You have to show them who you really are and show a human side of yourself, not just the person who's trying to take care of, what people are looking for. But yeah, so if anybody has any questions or if there's anything I can do to help, that's the one thing I've always liked to do is I've always helped people. So I was a teacher prior. I left that, and it's interesting because I left that and I was moonlighting as a bartender and a server at a local restaurant. And the local State Farm agent came in for dinner, and I had, prepared it and gave it to her. And she goes, "You're my niece's favorite teacher. Like, what are you going to do now?" I said, "I don't know. The only thing I've ever wanted to do is help people." And she said, "Why don't you come talk to me about this opportunity?" And then she got me working for a really good friend of hers. I worked for her for 2.5 years. And then I was in the Aspen program. Opened my office December 1st of 17 and opened my second January 1st of 24. So it's just been unbelievable. But my whole focus is like, whenever I say helping people though, it's not just about the customers, right? I'm helping the families of the people that work for me. I'm helping the local community. I'm helping my neighbors. I'm helping the local businesses, just like they're helping me. So I'm very humbled to be on this. I'm very humbled to be in the position that I'm in, to be able to help as many people as I possibly can, because I believe that that's 100% my true mission on this earth.
So good.
Impact, baby.
Yeah.
Impact.
So freaking good.
Well, Anthony, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. We appreciate you. For all of those of you who are either tuning in via Apple or maybe you're watching us on Spotify or YouTube, we appreciate you very, very much. With that being said, as always, time and attention are by far our most important assets. Go out and make it great. Anthony, thanks again, brother.